We are back.
What's up?
Episode 86 of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me as always is the great Carcass John, and now continuing to be new and improved with the great Scooter Waters.
Man, my name changes every week.
I know, I like it.
I was going to call him Raging Waters. I thought that was more metal. Scott Raging Waters.
Scott Class 5 Rapid Waters. I don't know. Well, we have a very cool episode today because joining us, Mark, I think they're in the waiting room. Yes, I'm not sure. But we have with us from Down Under, mate. We're going to throw another shrimp on the bobby.
Hey, there they are. Technology.
Hey guys.
If you follow the Metal Rob show on Deep Dallas Radio at all, you'll know that I got connected with Con a few months back, and I've been playing the STONETRIP track Sideways on the internet radio show. And man, it's great to have you guys. How are you?
We're doing great.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us on board.
Oh man, our pleasure. So I got to tell you, I am a huge fan of the track, huge fan of the video. I don't know how much of a fan my wife is because I won't stop singing it in the house, in the shower, in the car.
Perfect.
She has heard that chorus about 1 million times in the past week or so since we started hooking up the show today. So
good. You must be in the overtaken lane on the outside.
That's right. That's right. And
you know the lyrics well.
Yeah.
I was telling her we were on our way back from Oklahoma yesterday, and I said, so check this out. These guys are from Australia. Listen, why do people lose their accent when they sing? I've never understood that. But yeah, not a hint. You'd have no clue.
No, well, yeah, it's funny. I'm quite the mimic usually. Especially earlier on singing in cover bands and things like that. I was, I'd put on my Bon Scott voice and put on me whatever else voice it was I was doing. So I think I just ended up with an amalgamation and a mashup of many, many influences. So, the accent, I guess, like if I had to sing an American accent, I'd probably do that,
Yeah. That's awesome.
Did an awesome job.
I got to admit, I'm new to you guys. I just found out from Rob the other day, so I looked you up. I did a little quick research and Google search and looked up Australian metal bands, and I was surprised that you came in like fourth just underneath AC/DC, Destroyer 666, Blood Duster, and the Amity Affliction.
Wow, we'll take that.
Yeah, we'll definitely take that on board. That's for sure. Thank you for looking us up.
That was the Google search.
Oh yeah, man.
Well, we all had homework. We all had homework to do, and like I wasn't very familiar with you, and Rob kept repeating to it because I tend to be a little heavier than Rob on my musical taste. Although I like all types of music, and he said, just give him a chance. Give him a chance. Well, if it's good, it's good. I don't care but you're no Blood Duster, that's for sure, or Belligerent Intent or whatever. But that's fine. You guys are awesome, and thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I lean hair metal, if you can call it that, 80s metal, that kind of thing. Carcass leans, I'm dying in a blender, kind of is what his and we like to kick him in the pants about it. So now
be kind, just grind.
Oh yeah.
I always say.
No, we're all good brothers, and we love it all. So Con, I can't remember how you and I got connected. I think, were you mailing out MP3s as promos?
Yeah, I was actually just sending out just to make connection, around the world with independent radio stations and what have you, and exactly making that connection, and just with a brief introduction to a couple of the tracks, and if anyone bought and they bid onto the track. They liked it. They wanted to airplay it, and just made the correspondence and the connection from there. And it's been fantastic, not only in Australia but around the world, including yourselves. And just taking it on board from there. And that would have been early 2019.
I'm wondering if the owner of the station, maybe I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look through the messages. But anyway, I only remember having it for the last few months. So I'm wondering if he had it in a backlog of messages and submissions and sent it to me saying, hey, this would be good for the show. That's kind of what I remember, because as soon as I heard it, I thought, oh, well, I'm playing this immediately. This fits exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, it was predominantly the pre-production that got sent out. So it wasn't actually a studio version. So what you have now, what everyone has now, as from December just gone and January, is the full studio version. And it was the pre-production version that got sent out, and it just happened to be appealing to a lot of people that wanted to airplay it, which is great. And we had a few other tracks that was interesting in a few different countries, and it seemed to be that Sideways was definitely the one that people wanted to hear and broadcast, which is great.
Oh yeah, I love it. I think it's super, super catchy. Well, so tell us, as we kind of get to know you live right now, how long have you guys been together? How did you come to be a band? Because when I see the video and hear the song, I'm hearing guys that have been playing for a while. This is not some new band of teenagers getting together. This is solid. So give us the history of how you guys got together and all that.
Well, first of all, I wish we were a bunch of young teenagers.
I see the gray in your beard.
Yeah, you picked this, mate. We've been around the block a few times. We're all pretty seasoned. Look, as a vocalist with a band like that behind me, I'm purely blessed. The guys are all great players in their own right and know their instruments really well. But I guess the band sort of originated from myself and Mick Malusa, the guitarist in the band. That we've had a long-standing relationship for many years and worked in many bands, both covers and original projects over the years. And we wrote a bunch of songs probably back in, would have been 2016, 17, around there. And just in a friend's studio over a wild night, one night with too much of indulging goodies. And but sort of didn't worry about it too much. And a while later, I listened back to the tracks, just probably more out of curiosity than anything, and had to listen back to them. And I went, wow, this is pretty good shit. So I got on the phone with Mick and said, hey, listen, man, you need to re-listen these tracks that we put down. And he did, and we just had an almost light bulb moment. We just said, well, if we don't push this to the boundary and do what I think this is our calling as co-writers over many years, and it's sort of landed on our lap without us even realising it, to be honest with you. And we just from that point, we made a pact with each other and said, let's do this, let's go hard or go home, and let's leave no stone unturned and give it our best with everything we've got. And with that, we wanted to make sure that the band that we put in place was of that caliber and had the same sort of aspirations and sort of dedication to what they were potentially going to do. And Con came on board, who was just, apart from one of the nicest blokes I've ever met, is a bitch and drummer, and his heart and soul in the band as well. We hooked up with our bass player, who we just got off a local band advertising thing on the internet, a guy named Sebastian Bahona, who is from Chile, who is just, oh my God, he's just a godsend, man. Can that mother play bass? He's just all over it, lives it, breathes it. And Brucey Mountjoy, our other guitarist, was a mutual friend of Con's, who sort of heard the stuff and sort of proposed to him that if he'd like to come down and have a bit of a listen and get involved a little bit. And Brucey came down and just seemed to fit. And STONETRIP's now those 5 people that we didn't have to muck around with too much, because we were all pretty much on the same path, I think. And we're just a big happy family now, and we've just gone onwards and upwards. The writing process is a little bit more shared now. We've written probably 3 or 4 tracks in the rehearsal room. So, and it's just one of those things, guys, if it works, it works. If it ain't broken, don't fix it.
It's a great family. Yeah, we're definitely locked in.
Yeah, all we've done is enhanced what we write and what we do, and our sort of, I suppose, our mantra is like, near enough's not good enough. If you're going to do it properly, and just make sure that You can emulate everything you do on that recording or in that rehearsal studio, bring it live. Otherwise, fuck off. You know?
That's how you do it.
That's exact. I don't have any. Yeah, I've got no argument with that. So, how long have you guys actually been together as STONETRIP?
Probably, I'd say, I'll nudge nearly, say 18 months, 2 years now.
Yeah, roughly about 18 months, and we hit the rehearsal studio. It would have been early, I think it was 2019. You know, with the band and what have you. And we kicked off our first show. I think it was May 2019. Yeah, May 2019. We had a run of shows, and then obviously COVID hit, and then we ended up using that COVID period, throughout 2020 to be quite productive. Hit the studio and get all our assets kind of sorted out as well, in regards to just getting the product together, and the branding and what have you. So, using that downtime, we used it quite efficiently. So, and then moving into what we needed to do, and then release our first single. So this is where we are today, and with the video as well, which is great.
Nice. Just got signed to Golden Robot as well, which is pretty cool. Congrats on that.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Look, for any aspiring young musicians out there that are putting together bands and sort of potentially living their dream and doing their thing, if there's one thing that I've learned through this process, it's one thing to have a great band and be well rehearsed and have all that stuff in order. But what happens off the stage is just as important, if not more important sometimes, than the actual product that you've created. So like what Con was saying, the marketing of it, which way you're going to go with it. I've just had to educate myself so much, and I've been around a while, but social media and all that sort of stuff is a totally different platform. I think I still believe social media is a great platform. It's a great platform for exposure, for a fan base. It's great for that. Look, I think in terms of making dollars out of it, unless you're sort of turning over millions and millions of streams, you're probably suffering delusions of grandeur a little bit there. But the money that if you're going to make any money in a band is, touring, selling T-shirts and getting out there and doing the hard yards. And that was the beauty of getting that record deal with Golden Robot, because you sort of go into the next level now. It's a different ball game. So, and you've got to be on it, and you've got to make it's a product, and you have to make the product better or as good as the last product that you produced. And we're selling it, and we're selling it to the best of our ability, and you've just got to be able to back it up. So I guess, point being, it's all well and good to write a bunch of songs, but all you young guys out there in bands and looking for, to make your way, just realise, do your homework and do your research, because there's plenty of people out there, especially if you've got half a decent product, people will come after you and knock on your door and they'll offer you the world, but you have to be a little bit selective and be a little bit smart and do a little bit of research before you go signing anything or jumping in at the deep end.
Yep, Scott knows about that. Scott runs a label called No Life Till Metal, and he's always picking up bands from around. Well, you've had several around the U.S., but and I don't remember. I lost my train of thought. You guys ask a question. I'm babbling like an idiot.
One of the viewers, Terry Sullivan, asked, "Is there a full album coming soon?"
Yes. Yeah. The answer is yes. We'll probably do that. Hopefully, we're probably looking to look. It depends what happens with the crisis and the pandemic and everything, of what we can and what we can't do. But I'd probably say towards the end of the year, we'd be looking to get an album out. Look, we've recorded an EP. We're pulling singles off it, Sideways being the first one. The next one's in production at the moment, and just about to get the clip done.
Straight to you, Rob.
So yeah, we've got some banging tunes. So hopefully we get that out. We're basically, bleeding out the EP a little bit for a bit of longevity. So I mean, it's especially again with social media and stuff like that. We thought, well, doing an EP and throwing it out there, it can go as quick as it come, So we're just trying to sort of really sort of suck as much out of the product as we can, and follow it up that way. Plans basically, hopefully, to do 3 singles off this EP, and in the meantime, get back in the studio and do the album, and have maybe it'll either be a 3rd or 4th release to coincide with the album launch. So that's the way we're looking at it, and hopefully then go tour the world.
Okay, well that leads me to my question, since I'm probably the most likely to stage dive at a STONETRIP show.
Yes, you will.
So here in the States, it's different in every corner of the country, but in Texas, we're starting to open up to 100% capacity, which is great. Obviously, we're going to still wash our hands and wear masks in some places, et cetera, and just be smart about it. But there's actually live music happening again. And so, of course, that's probably the one thing that I've missed the most, is just live music in general. I mean, it's one thing to sit in your room and listen to a record, but it's another thing to actually go and fist pump and headbang and do your thing and interact with people. And so what are your I guess long-term, short-term plans as far as touring? You mentioned touring. I know that's contingent on a lot of things, and it's not cheap to fly from Australia to the United States, but how can we help you?
Well,
yeah, that's a very good question.
But look, I think realistically, I doubt if there'll be any international touring this year. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. Look, Australia, I suppose the states being so big, Australia's a pretty fair whack of land as well, but we've only got like 6 states. So, but there's a lot of miles in between those 6 states. So, look, we're probably looking at hopefully starting off with a national tour, and sort of get some momentum going, and just keep building that fan base. Keep pushing out the records to people like you to promote them and hopefully enjoy them, and get enough, I suppose, exposure to warrant getting over there and playing for you guys. I'd love to go to Texas and see some of those hats flying around. I'd be pretty happy about that. Big chance I'd steal one.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Absolutely. Awesome.
We'll all ride up with our 6-shooters and our 10-gallon hats.
Well,
Donald,
I was just going to
named
ask,
Donald Blair.
Stage diving scene, there's into a bit of that. How do the hats stay on? Do you have to like loop it on, or is it just free for all the hats going in? Or is it just not everyone wears hats in Texas?
Yeah, there's nothing up here keeping a hat on, let me assure you.
Yeah.
Hey, Con, a guy named Donald Blair who's listening or watching right now, he wants to know what your influences are. And he asked if you're Led Zeppelin influenced.
1,000,000%. Yeah, Led Zeppelin. Yeah, definitely. I mean, funnily enough, before STONETRIP actually happened as a complete band, I mean, to get our feet wet live, we actually did a few Led Zeppelin shows, around Melbourne, and which went off just quite a treat. Just to get the band together, to see how everyone kind of hooked up. But Led Zeppelin is definitely one of the biggest influences, pretty much, within the band, as well as a lot of other influences, pretty much from. Could be from the 1920s till pretty much now. And pardon? Well, research. But weirdly enough, I mean, during one of the shows, there was quite a few fans that knew what we were kind of slightly doing. And they yelled out STONETRIP. And the guys just turned around to me and said, well, let's just blow out a STONETRIP track and see what happens. We did that, and the roof blew off. And it was insane. And that was a huge indication of, just playing one track live of the STONETRIP track in amongst a Led Zeppelin thing, which we weren't expected to do. And it was amazing. So, and that's when we hit the studio. And then that's when basically all the tracks started coming together quite quickly with the band members. And just went off from there, to be honest with you. So it was phenomenal. So, yes, Led Zeppelin, definitely one of them. And Richo's voice was amazing with it. He ripped off the most unique sound for Led Zeppelin. It's insane. So, yeah, you wouldn't believe it.
You need cool. But look, Led Zeppelin to me is a major influence, simply because, look, my take on Led Zeppelin, apart from the musicality of that band, is that I put Robert Plant as the Frank Sinatra of rock and roll in terms of timing, phrasing, and trust me, from someone who's had my fair share of learning and listening to Robert Plant, just when you think it is, it's not a lot of the time with the way he phrases things and does things like that. So I learn a lot from that. The other big influence for me personally, but probably the biggest band influence that on me was probably, believe it or not, Rush. I'm a mad Rush fan, always have been. Neil Peart's my God, and it was a sad, sad day. I cried for 3 days.
Are you pointing to Scott?
Both of those guys.
Nice to hear. Yeah.
So look, Rush is a gift. You know, that's the way I look at Rush. If you were lucky enough to hear some Rush music or had it put in your hands, and you were smart enough to pick it up and have a listen to it and pull it apart and just see how good those guys were, it's a gift. And I was blessed to have that gift. So a lot of my writing, lyrical influences are a far cry from Neil Peart, but he dared me to go down a different road with some of the things I write and the way I write them. So, yeah, big influence. Led Zeppelin, Rush, probably my biggest 2 influences. And Chuck and Paul Rogers.
So we had on the show some months back Donna Halpern, who was the DJ in Cleveland that actually picked up the Rush record and played it on the radio in the United States for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool lady.
That would have been in the mid-70s, is that right? When they was that the mid-70s when they
74.
Yeah, that's right. So definitely a stand against time.
Yeah. So yeah, look, it's funny the way. The other thing that I learned was that the cross between heavy, sort of good hard rock riffs and sweet melody is a hard thing to find nowadays. It's just pretty rare, you know. It's either balls to the wall or it's not that. But that's another little thing that I picked up from probably Geddy Lee and Neil Peart, in that these guys could have such sweet melodies, but yet have such brutal guitar parts and music behind it, and the mashup of those two things just blew me away. So it's a good thing, and it was a big influence on me.
Not to mention having big hooks.
Oh yeah, you know.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Look, I'll tell you, I think that with hooks, it's funny. Like when I write lyric, I don't think about too much. I just write it. It comes out. I refuse to be responsible for it until after But you know, I think the secret to a good lyric is a good hook. Obviously, I think a lot of the time less is more. You know, if you look at a song like Sideways, the chorus in it is, you know, sideways in the overtaken lane on the outside. You know, it's not that complicated. It's not that complex. You know, so I think that less is more sometimes. But yeah, and yeah, I just think that with writing, that if you try to pull it apart too much, you just tend to spend too much time with it. Like when I write, believe it or not, a lot of the time when I write material like lyrically, I don't profess to be a guitarist. I'm certainly not. But I play a right-handed guitar, acoustic guitar, left-handed upside down without changing the strings around. That's how I write, because I'm a prolific melody writer and lyricist. I just hear stuff and I write it, and I've got to pick up this stupid guitar and go, find it chord, you know, and it's that simple, you know, and if it ain't broken, don't fix it. You know, that's where the big boys come in the band. That's where I go to Mick and Bruce and the guys in the band and go, oh, look, you know, this is happening. And, you know, I'll turn my stupid guitar upside down. And they'll be looking at me, what the fuck are you doing, idiot? So, you know, here, and they'll play it properly and transpose and go, oh, yeah, that's what I do. So, yeah, it works that way. But it's a pretty simple process. You know, it's also a gift.
Well, I agree. Less is more. I guess one of us has our speakers up loud. I feel like I'm blowing you guys out when I talk. I agree with the less is more thing, because when I hear Sideways, I'm pretty sure there's one verse in that song. Is that right?
Yeah, or two short ones.
Yeah. But the thing is, I was telling my wife when I was listening to that song over the weekend, I said, this is how you take a chorus and you ride it all the way to the bank. Because when you can hook somebody in with something singable like that, that's exactly what happened for me when I heard the song. Because let's face it, we've got gray here. We've heard a lot of music. But that track, just like a lot of the big stuff that I've heard in the past few years, it just grabbed me. So the songwriting worked, man. And when I finally heard it, it was great. It was really cool. I loved it. I enjoyed playing it on the show. And then the fully produced version came, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. It's so I'm really, really stoked for the EP and the album, and we will certainly be supporting you guys.
Thank you very much.
Into the future. I'm really excited. I think our producer bought your track while you were on here.
Someone just
thank you very much.
Thank
you very much. We're under a fantastic guidance through Ricky Ray at Light Hill Sound Studios that we have in Melbourne, and we're just very, very fortunate to be able to record with him. And he's an absolute gem, like a mad scientist. I mean, the track Sideways, and plus with all the other tracks that we actually had recorded, got completely pulled apart, and he worked our asses off, to get the best of each member out of the band. And now that just brought it up to a completely different level, especially bring it up to a live aspect. When we got into rehearsal, everything got pulled apart, and trying to emulate as much as we possibly can to have it live, and that's what we're actually doing. So it's definitely brought us up to a completely different level, and Ricky was phenomenal. Like with Richo's voice, creating different pitches and melodies and what have you. All of us, with the playing of the recording. So plus we've got a lot more to go, which is going to kick our ass with massively. So we can't wait, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope against hope that you guys make it to the States sometime, because if you come within a few hours, John and I have already said that we're going to make a road trip. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I don't want to. I know you guys had 20 or 30 minutes. Are we good on time? Do you guys?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. You can continue. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Well, let's transfer let's change the topic just a bit. So I know almost nothing about the Australian music scene outside of seriously AC/DC. So
I pulled a few records and thought maybe I'd get you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys hit it. Go ahead, Scott.
I thought maybe you guys let me know what you think, or if you're,
Oh yes, 1,000,000%. Yeah. The Angels.
The Angels, Angel City in the United States, but Angel City, the Angels there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, phenomenal Australian band.
Legends.
How about this one?
Phenomenal.
Cheetah.
Yes. Yeah.
100%.
Oh my God, do they rock or what? Yeah, that's a full-on album.
Yeah, pretty much a female version of AC/DC.
Oh my God, you've got a lot there. Gee whiz. Yes. Yeah. We all grew up with Rose Tattoo.
Of course.
Yeah.
This one may be a little more obscure, but I know these guys really well, so.
Modification. I have heard of those guys. Yeah, that would have been throughout. Was it the 80s?
They were Light Force. They were Light Force from 85 through 89. Then changed their name to Mortification. Went more of a death metal sound in 1990, and they're up until a couple years ago when the bass player singer had a stroke. But
bugger. No, that's not nice.
Here you go. Here's another one. I don't have any vinyl on this one, but
yes,
Pegasus. Pegasus are a great band. They've been around for quite some time.
Yeah, Pegasus has actually done a bunch of shows with Mortification. I have a Mortification Pegasus tour poster. So now these next two are a little bit more obscure, but I absolutely love this band. They only put this one album out, Ethereal Scourge.
I haven't heard of those guys, to be honest.
This is melodic death metal, a bit doomy at times, but I would just describe it as melodic death metal. This is actually
cool
reissue, but great stuff from about 1997.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that one.
And then one other one. This is actually just straight up death metal from where are these guys from? Melbourne? Is that what it says? Melbourne.
Anyway, what are they called?
Metanoia. They put out 3 albums. Female bass player, death metal, just straight grunt and grind, in your face,
Oh,
down tuned
Carcass music.
carcass.
Oh, well, hey, now, you know, the thing is Melbourne, and I know, like I said, I know Matt Crossingham, I know Mark Aiken, who's in a band called Twisted Fate. He also did a stint in Cemetery Urn and so forth. But man, they're brutal down there. There's a ton of bands: Mortal Sin,
yeah, great band.
Nocturnal Graves, Maniacs. This something recent I discovered, Stalker.
Okay.
Man, just ripping stuff. So I mean, I don't know what's in the water down there, but you guys have a certain amount of heavy. But I will tell you, and you know, like I said, Rob warned me, you know, please give them a chance. Well, you know, like I said, if it's good, I'm gonna love it, and it doesn't matter if it's hip hop or death metal. But one thing that I did recognize right off the bat, and I'm a huge Swedish death metal fan. And so I sort of have dissected the history of all that apart. But Michael Amman is a friend of mine who started in Carnage as a young man and then was in Carcass for a short time and then is doing Arch Enemy. But he also has a kind of a bluesy side project called Spiritual Beggars. And that first lead on the track, Sideways, when he hits that, to your point, Mark, that less is more, that first lead, it's not a bunch of noodling, but it's a sustained note on there. And I thought, that sounds like a Michael Amott riff, which is so cool because now you've drawn from kind of almost a death metal influence of the Swedish death metal vein and drawn it into a more bluesy heavy metal scenario. So that's what I love about it, especially modern heavy music or heavy metal, is that there's so many vast influences that you can like put into the into the blender and spin it around, and that struck me. And man, I love that sustain. I love noodling too, but that's the one thing I love about the simplicity of, say, grindcore heavy metal is it's just riffs. And when what you guys have put together are great riffs, and then these heavy sustained kind of soaring melodic solo parts, which really are interesting to me. So mad props for without even knowing it, probably dragging that that Swedish death metal influence in there, especially namely Michael Amott, who's a great player in his own right. But man, I look forward to hearing everything about that. But like I said, you know, Hobbs, Angel of Death, Psychroptic, Abominator, Vomitor, Nocturnal Graves. I mean, those are the bands that I know from Melbourne.
Right.
So and then, you know, and then of course Pegasus. Now that's gravitating away from the heavier stuff. They're more of a just a melodic rock band. But anyway, I think you guys fit right in with the greats. And man, that's why Melbourne's on my bucket list, because you could spend weeks, months just hitting the clubs and seeing great bands. It's very reminiscent of the 80s and 90s. And I've seen metal trend from, I mean, I've been listening to music and collecting music since the early 70s. And it's kind of like that. It's you know, there's just so much out there, and you think, just when you think you've heard it all, you don't know anything, because there's more.
Just when I think I've heard it all, I'm scrolling through this list of Australian metal. I just Googled Australian metal bands. My favorite name by far is Fuck I'm Dead.
I haven't come across that one yet. Oh
yeah. So I'm all over checking out Fuck I'm Dead. Yeah, man. There's two. I'm looking at two lists here, and they both have 100 bands. I had no idea.
Oh, it's huge, man. It's huge out here.
Yeah, it's massive in Melbourne. Yeah, we've got a vast variety of metal, rock, you name it, everything's down here. And yeah, I mean, with all the clubs and everything that are, you know, they're slowly starting to open up. Everyone's starting to get their live feet back again, so people are starting to get into, you know, doing some shows and what have you. But Melbourne in particular is rife, and there's phenomenal bands that are out there that a lot of us haven't actually heard of. And we're hoping to actually play with a lot of them too in the coming months and years, so which would be phenomenal. So
It's a pretty cultural place, Melbourne. You know, it's really, really diverse. There's people from everywhere. You know, so I think that opens up a big hole for influences from wherever people have come from. So, you know, like Melbourne is like, it's like 15 countries in one. You know, there's so much culture in the place. You go into the city in Melbourne and there's so many different restaurants and places to be used from small little square things, massive venues. And you can pretty much take your pick and choose. And look, the great thing now is that that's starting to come back a bit. We can all feel it. We're like, oh, look, there's a big chance we might be able to get back out again here and sort of pick up where we left off. And the whole country, I can tell you, especially Melbourne and Sydney, are just hanging for it because we're just music freaks. We just love music, you know, love culture, and we just love that we're able to do it. And we're so diverse in what we can do. You know, there's sort of no rules, you know. So yeah, it's a great place to learn your stuff, you know, and don't be afraid to dare to be a little bit different with what you're doing as well.
I love it. Scott, what have you got, brother?
What have I got? I pretty much showed what I had.
Oh, yeah. I just want to make sure I'm not dominating the show. I want to make sure that you guys get your questions in.
We had a couple of questions from people, but somebody asked, I lost it now, but somebody asked, what do you guys think of, since you're big Zeppelin fans, they wanted to know what you think of Greta Van Fleet.
Oh, seen live last year. That little bloody pocket rocket he is. I went and seen him, and it was, again, being a Zeppelin fan, as soon as I heard him, I probably did what everybody else did and just went bang with a big branded them, which I think didn't help them because I think they're a brilliant band in their own merits, especially after seeing them live and just the way they roll. They're just an unbelievable band with great songs, and they're obviously
phenomenal.
Zeppelin influenced. But the good thing that when I heard Greta Van Fleet and was lucky enough to see them was that, you know what, I went, fuck, we're not dead, man. Rock's not dead. There's still a chance for us. They're just so few and far between now. You know, the rock influence. I don't know about you guys, how what the vibe is over there, but definitely here, there's a feeling that rock and roll is making a comeback.
It's definitely making a comeback,
and it should be too. You know, so and it's good, and you can see it just the few last gigs that we've done. Out and about Melbourne, you know, they're sold out. People want to get out. People want to see live bands because that's what we cut our teeth on, most of us. And it's been a terrible, terrible loss, as I'm sure it would have been for you guys as well. But yeah, it's starting to come back. But there's definitely a vibe out there that rock is coming back, and fucking look out, mate, because I reckon it's going to hit and it's going to have a total resurgence. I hope so.
Bring it on.
I agree. I think that when everything opens back up worldwide, I know that we're supposed to open up to 100% tomorrow and go mask free tomorrow. I think as soon as the bands get comfortable in the States, I think we are going to see touring come back with a vengeance. And I think bands are going to sell shitloads of merchandise at live shows because I think people are going to be so starved for it. And, you know, good on them because they deserve it. They deserve every nickel they make from every T-shirt for having to suffer through this and not have a gig. And in a lot of cases, not have a job. That's the thing that blew me away was when all this kicked off a year ago. I started realizing how many of my musician friends, that was what they did for a living. And, you know, me having a regular job and getting to come on here and be a dumbass once a week, you know, I'm lucky I didn't have to depend on that. So I can't wait to see the bands, and I can't wait to get my wallet out at the shows and make sure that they know that I am back because they are back. So
yeah, fantastic. Thank you. We can't wait to get over there, to be honest with you. And we're hoping, you know, within 2022, possibly, you know, once everyone's able to get out and travel around and what have you. But it's definitely a a target to achieve. So we want to meet you guys personally, so we can rock out and have some fun with you.
I'll stock the fridge with, what do you need? Foster's, Smittix, what do you need?
I'll let Richo take on board that one.
Just a bottle and a bottle of Maker's Mark will do for a start.
Oh, brilliant.
Take it from there.
I like it.
It's
can we say live at Casa de Carcass, episode 100 or 120 or something? We do something special.
Now we're getting somewhere.
I've had the fortunates to have lots of live music here in my house in my living room. So we got a spot warmed up for you. We've kind of got it figured out. Oh yeah, come on over. And in fact, I've had as many as 13 people staying at my house, and nobody slept on the floor. So we've got a spot for whomever. We'll make you comfortable. We'll feed you breakfast in the morning and send you on your way the next day. But excuse me.
Have you got Vegemite?
You know what? For you guys, I'll bring. I'll make sure that. And you know, to your point about Melbourne, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Texas in general is pretty international in scope, and there's pockets of a little bit of everything. In fact, in referring back to Matt Crossingham from Belligerent Intent, Cemetery Urn, and blah 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 blah, Draconia, and all those other bands he's played in. You know, he and his wife would vacation here. They would come. They would come to Dallas Fort Worth area because it was so, like you say, it was universal in scope and like not just being in one different country but multiple countries, because we have a vast splattering of people, so to speak. So yeah, you guys, all you got to do is send me your list, your request. We'll backline you. I've got equipment. We've got a drum kit in the next room over here. We're ready to roll, man. Ready to roll.
Okay, we'll work that out. We'll get on to the guys with Golden Robot Records, and we'll try and sort something out. Hopefully within next year, etc. So we'll go from there. So I mean, there's definitely a battle plan, that they've got in mind, and we're just hoping to, we're looking forward to moving forward with everything, because everything's all brand new for us at this point. You know, especially being signed to a label. So and they're a phenomenal family. They've got a massive list of incredible artists. You know, you've got LA Guns, you've got you name it, everybody, as much as you could possibly think of. And we can't wait to start touring. To be honest with you, we just got to get out there. I mean, that's our battleground. Getting out there and touring and getting in front of people, and you know, you did mention earlier there, John, that you want to get out there and start stage diving. Well, we got some pretty cool tracks there that you'll be doing that, mate. Don't worry.
All right.
Well, if you guys end up making it to Texas, I'll be sure and put Tim Tams under your pillow.
Oh, Tim Tams, yes, please. Tim Tams and coffee. Tim Tams and coffee and Vegemite.
Oh yeah. Now I tried Vegemite. I got a buddy that's from Canberra, and I'm out on that.
How did you have it? Did you have it on bread with butter, toasted? How did you have it? Or did you just stick your finger in a jar? Because there's an experience you have to work down.
I don't remember. It was at a music festival up in Illinois, and he brought a jar out, and I don't remember if I ate it on a cracker or bread. And I think I handed it back to him.
That was instantaneous.
I was like, I'll drink your beer, man, but I'm not eating this.
The best way to have it, don't give up on it. The best way to have it is just toast, lightly brown toast, some butter, melted nice, and Vegemite just nice and light over the top of it while it's still hot, a bit of steam coming off it. Get around it, mate.
Okay. I will give it a shot. I will give Vegemite another shot, a fair shake, as it were.
Well, then Mark is cooking breakfast after the live at Casa de Carcass the next day.
Yeah.
Mark cook.
Yeah, that'll be good. Well, boys, do you have any parting shots before we let you go?
Look, we just can't wait to get these international sort of tours going. Can't wait to get to the States. we're getting a lot of love from over there. We're getting a lot of love around the world, actually. So we just want to fire on the impact that we've created, and can't wait to get there and just rock your asses off. That's all of us. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, we can't wait.
Oh, it's going to be great. Well, I want to say as we start wrapping up the show here, I want to say don't forget to check out Scott Waters on YouTube. He's got his own channel over there with 1 billion more subscribers than we have. But I mean, just pointing that out. I would like to say that we usually try to read Carcass's shirt at the first of the show, but we wanted to get right to you guys. This is an easy one. That's Zmog. That's a layup. He always wears a shirt with an unreadable logo, and this was a total layup.
I was trying to be nice to our guests.
Oh, thank you. Mine is from Motivate today.
Oh yeah.
Hang on a second. I got something for you guys. Hang on a minute.
I went to Australia today
with the King's X hoodie. Oh yeah, you did.
Mortification.
Here we go. We'll eventually get some of these over to you.
Oh, sweet.
That's what I'm talking about.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
All the merch, you name it, it's all there. The caps, you name it. Plus, we've got our own merch store as well, so we'll sort everything out. But don't worry, we'll look after you guys. We'll get something sorted out for you. You just got to. I'll get in contact with you, Rob, and we'll sort out some sizes and what have you, and get it moving for you.
Oh yeah. I want to say on behalf of Scott and the Carcass for the Metal Roundtable, Con, I'm so appreciative that you sent that track. I'm so appreciative that it made it to my inbox eventually, because I keep saying this, and I really am as excited as I'm talking. I am just thrilled to death to hear what you guys have got coming. I am stoked like I'm a teenage kid in the 80s that just recorded a song off the radio on cassette, which is how I found about everything back in the day. I couldn't be more thrilled. And if you ever get within spitting distance of Texas, please know that we will be, meeting up with you guys and hanging out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, guys.
Nice words. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for having us, guys. It's definitely been a privilege for us. And with the next single that comes out, it's going to blow your mind. You're going to crank it loud, and you're going to really enjoy it. Trust me.
I'm ready. Okay, we sign off the show, and we say metal will prevail. That's how we do it. Metal will prevail. So, for episode 86 of the Metal Roundtable, thank you once again for the guys in STONETRIP for being on with us all the way from down under. Until next time, metal
will prevail. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.